Hey everybody, welcome to this video. Today we are going to be discussing my top 10 solo board games for 2023, and this features some games from 2023, and it'll also feature some games that were not done in 2023, but I'm a pauper, so yeah. You play things a little bit late. And also, yeah, this is going to feature some of my greatest games of all time as well. You know, this is my definitive top 10 list for 2023, basically. My favourite board games. Everyone's jumping on the bandwagon. I thought, why not? I've got a bit of time to kill. Let's do it. First off, number 10. It is going to be a game I just played last week. Technically, I bought it in November, and that is Conquest LCG. Yep, Warhammer 40k Conquest LCG. As you can see, I've got my Chaos hoodie on right now. I picked up from Merchoid when I was working for Merchoid. But what can I say about Conquest? It is an absolutely amazing game. I'm glad that I've finally been able to actually pick this one up because it is so fun. It is the ultimate 40k game. And not just ultimate 40k game, but it is probably one of my ultimate card games. You know, battler games anyway. I absolutely love it. I can play it against my lad if he wants to get into 40k that way. That's a good barrier to entry because my core set that I've got featured 2 core sets. So I've got enough cards for 50 decks, not 50 decks, 50 card decks for all the factions. And it is balanced. All the factions seem quite balanced as the core sets. Obviously, if you wanted to expand upon it, you could, because it's abandonware. It has been completely abandoned now for 9 or 10 years. And so everything is available for free to download. Card scans, all that lot. And also fan card scans. People who took the game when it died and made their own stuff to improve upon it. And you can do that by basically just printing stuff off Make playing cards or other card printers, because they will do it. It's abandoned game. You can literally just have the entire lot. Because some of these cards, if you look on the secondary market, they are blooming expensive. And I was looking at some of the Necrons and some of the Necron sets, which is just basically the Necron box set, which was about 20 quid at the time. Costs for about 70 to 80 quid now. Tyranids, much the same. Yeah, it is an expensive business, but you can go on to Make playing cards, use the card scans that people have, and make their own if I wanted to. And you could have an entire complete collection of this thing because it is an abandoned game. Whatever's out there is out there, and you can add to it as you like. I personally think I'm just going to keep with the core set for now and just play that to death, basically. I'm going to really enjoy it, and I can see this game being up in my top 10 games of all time, probably either number 3 or number 4 of games of all time. I really can. The only reason it's number 10 right now is because of recency bias. I want to see how it goes over the next year. But this is just a fun game. It is everything that I wanted in a card game. The fact that it's an all-in-one system, the fact that you can add to it if you want. I love right now the One Piece TCG, but I found that I'm not playing One Piece TCG as in person. I am playing it via the internet because I can have more opponents to play, and the simulator for One Piece TCG is amazing. There's not really a simulator for Conquest, so, well, there is, but it's a bit of a pain in the backside to try and get opponents on it. You have to find opponents via Discord and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll play just in person. I'll play solo because the solo mode in it is brill. I love it. I can see this game being higher on my list next year. Number 9 is Dead by Daylight. I love Dead by Daylight. My family love to play Dead by Daylight. It's like the only game my family will play, except for Longshot, the dice game. But we haven't played in a while. because I think my family kind of got sick of it a little bit. We played every single killer, we played every single survivor, we did every single perk and build and everything. And yeah, my family kind of got a little bit stale of this game. We could do some more maps or some more killers or something to really bring it back into the forefront. And I will buy them in an instant because it's really great. I think it's such a simple but interesting system. The fact that you have to play a card or play two cards and then do an action. Anybody from their nan to their gran to their 6-year-old kid could play this game. And to me, as a Dead by Daylight fan anyway, that is what attracts me to Dead by Daylight. The fact that Dead by Daylight has such a core premise, which is, as a survivor, you have to do 5 generators rather, and then in the main game, computer game, 5 generators and then exit. In this game, it's do 4 generators and then exit. And the killer, basically kill everyone. It is that simple core premise and gameplay loop just keeps me playing again and again and again. And we love it. I love it. And even the solo mode where you can play as a killer against bot survivors, or even the bot killer versus your survivors. That one isn't as balanced, I feel. I feel you can beat the killer pretty easily. The killer bot, it's oh so botty, as they say, if you watch Samination. But yeah, I think that this is a fun game, but it's low on my list for the fact that I feel it could do with something extra to push it to that next level in terms of more killers, more variation. You know, that's all you need, really. You don't need anything tacked on to the gameplay to make it better. The gameplay loop at its core is great. It's fun. It can be set up in 5 minutes, played in 20, and then packed away in another 5. So it's literally like a half-hour game. We used to play about 3 times a night. We need some more boards, though, some more arenas, I feel, more so than anything else. And until that happens, it's going to be low on my list, and it could be pushed out to my all-time top 10. But that's what it is. I still think it's a great game, and I do play it occasionally. Number 8 on my list is Marvel United. I am still a fan of Marvel United. I think it's a great core little game. It's good to just get out on the table, play, pick a villain, pick 4 heroes, and just have some fun. I personally really, really enjoy Marvel United. I do think I am done with the system. I don't want to add to it ever again. I have all in for the first Marvel United. I have the all in for the X-Men. I did have the opportunity to buy the Spider-Geddon, and I said no to myself. I didn't go in for anything for Season 3 either. If I want to pick up a Season 3 core set, I can. Usually they're pretty cheap, secondary market style. I think that I am just done, though. I enjoy what I have, and you get to the point where you just need to enjoy what you have. Core set Marvel United, X-Men. I've got the Fantastic Four for Doctor Doom. I'm done. I've got everything I want. I could probably trim it down because there's heroes, villains. Well, not the villains. I like the villains. There's heroes in there that I would never play again because you've got to think I burnt myself out on Marvel United. I have sold every single miniature for Marvel United. I am literally playing Marvel United now with coin capsules, with printed out heroes and villains and stuff, faces on them. I ought to show that at some point. I really ought to, because it's such a great little system. I have 2 boxes. I got the first core set and the second core set, and then 3 boxes technically, because I got a third box which is all the cards in there. But yeah, that's my Marvel United. And that to me is great. I don't need miniatures to enjoy a game. I can just put the coin capsules down. There you go. Boom, there you go. I enjoy Marvel United for the gameplay, not the miniature hunt. So yeah, that is what it is. I do enjoy first Marvel United more than X-Men. I know a lot of people say X-Men really upped the fun factor and the added more depth to it, but for me, the first core Marvel United set is what I love the most and the one I come back to the most. I find the X-Men powers too similar, and a lot of them are not really that interesting or game changing. It's just a little bit of flavor text here and there. You might get an extra attack, or you might get an extra life save, or an extra card, when you've run out because of the regeneration and that lot. I find it a little bit tacky because I don't think Simon really fleshed it out enough for me. And so I prefer just base first Marvel United, which is everyone has, 3 actions, and then you got heroic, which can be anything. That to me is perfect Marvel United. Simple, just put it on the table, play an half-hour type game. It's fun, it's great. You can play every single hero and villain that you've got. To me, that's what I enjoy, and that's why I'm done with it. And it'll always be on my list, I think. It'll always be up there in terms of my greatest games of all time. Always have a soft spot for Marvel United. 7, and this is the first game of 2023. It is Star Wars: The Deck Building Game. What a great fun game that is. It was a nice little deck builder, and Azure Death mech in that solo mode basically jumped it up to 11 for me. I really enjoy that solo mode that he made. So thank you, Azure Death. That was brilliant. The leaders variant. That is my preferred way to play this game, and it is the only way I play this game because no one else in my family is interested in playing it. My son's not interested in Star Wars, the deck builder. He prefers the DC one. I think this one is better. I do think it is a better mode for me personally. I think the deck building system and the fact that you can attack and defend and with the cruiser ships, and it feels like you are building a deck of heroes instead of just building a deck of anything that DC game does. I feel you end up with a deck just for points in that game, just so you can win on points. But here, having that dual aspect where you are going against the Empire or you're going against the Rebels, to me, I prefer that. It has a wargamey feel to it, and I'm big into me war games. Obviously, it's my bread and butter, and so I think this probably is the best deck builder that I own. I do have the Resident Evil deck builder, and that is fun as well. My son does enjoy the Resident Evil deck builder, mainly because he can actually beat me at that one. But again, that was abandonware, and I got lucky with that in the fact that I know someone who will print cards off for me. Well, used to print cards off for me because he's moved work now. That's why I can't get him to print the Conquest stuff off for me. He moved last year. Anyway, he printed off, before he left, me a version of all the cards for the Resident Evil deck builder because he had one himself. Again, abandonware. But I personally think the Star Wars one is better. The fact that you have that row of cards and you can attack the row of cards so as you can screw your opponents over, or you can attack them directly, and the leaders variant just gives you something to aim for and something to build up your decks for. I feel there's a lot of deck variation in terms of the building, and I just think it's fun. It's a really great little deck building game. Number 6 is another game from last year. Well, it delivered last year. It is Scarface 1920. It is basically an area control deck building game with asymmetric heroes, well, say heroes, gangsters, and different abilities that they all want to do and ways to win the game. I really enjoy this. The solo mode is fine. I would prefer to go against 2 opponents rather than 1. That's why with the expansion set, I have bought myself 2 other sets of solo cards because they had them on there. So I could technically go against 3 bots. I think 3 bots would be a bit too much to control. So I am going to go against just the 1 bot probably. But I can always, if I've got a long day to myself, when the wife's away with the kids, then maybe I can just play to myself on the dining room table with against all 4 going against each other, and I won't be Dean O'Brien because he's broken as hell. Dean O'Brien. I want to try these 2 new ones out, see how broken they am. Dean just spoils the game, I feel, because you're relying on that supply coming in, and he just literally just creates supply as he feels like. So kicking him out the game, for me, is what I've learned is the best. The woman, she wants to control the board, then Rothstein wants to control the jobs aspect, and Capone wants to control like the police and stuff like that. And he's a bit of a balanced one in terms of having a bit of supply, a bit of dealing with the police, bit of dealing with jobs, bit of dealing with area control. He wants to try and do a little bit of mix of everything. Capone is my preferred way to play, but he is quite difficult because he's just that jack of all trades. And so I'm hoping that the expansion changes the game up enough, or just adds a little bit extra, that it's not intrusive, that it isn't just like a tacked on thing that just gets in the way. Hopefully adds something to it, and hopefully it keeps it fun, because this was a long enough game to where you're playing for around about 2.5 hours. I think I got one down to around about 2, maybe an hour and a half. But this is a long game, just going solo against 1 bot. So 2 bots, along with the extra added stuff as well, will probably increase that time, if not double it. So hopefully it can keep the time down and don't become too bulky and needless, because otherwise I'll just kick that crap out, you know what I mean? And just keep base Scarface as is, just with the solo decks. But I really enjoyed Scarface. I thought it was a great little area control game. I do like the gangster aspect as well. It's a nice fun thing bit of history that I enjoy. Yes, there's some parts of it, it feels more pulpy than realistic, but I'm looking forward to the expansions, and I do want to play this more, and that's always a good sign, isn't it, really? Number 5, we have Raiders of the North Sea, which to me is still absolutely amazing. It is one of the fastest worker placement games I own, and it's just so intuitive. Place a worker, claim a worker, get both sets of rewards, and then raid places. I want to try and maybe pick up some of the expansions, because I still just have base raiders and I have the solo mode as well. So yeah, I do want to try and pick them up, but they are blooming expensive, and I'm wondering now, because they are going back and remaking some old games, whether they might go back and remake this one, or rejig it just that little bit, because I think they're doing it with Shipwrights of the North Sea. So maybe they will with Raiders. Let's see what happens. I'm looking forward to playing it again this year. I'll probably do another video on the channel actually for Raiders, because I enjoy it so much. Like I say, this is my go-to worker placement of choice, pure worker placement anyway, and I enjoy everything about it. The card art, the fact that it feels like like a Viking raider, pulpy Viking raider type game, where you're going a Viking across the sea and raiding the English countryside. I like it. It's a good bit of fun, and it plays short time. And the bot is also very, very difficult to beat. I'm lucky that I've got the bot cards, so yeah, it is quite difficult to defeat this at times. You have to play very efficiently to try and get the better of it. And games are always close, which is great fun for me. Number 4, though, we have Dune Imperium, a game which, at its base core game, where I owned a year or two ago, I kind of dismissed because I had worked out a system how to basically beat the two bots on a consistent level if you use certain characters, basically the two Harkonnen ones and Leto. It kind of got a little bit easy, a little bit stale. And then this year, I managed to pick up a copy with Ix and also the extra one, the Bene Gesserit one. And my God, they really changed the game, especially Ix. Ix adding just that little market at the top right-hand side, that smuggling place, finally gives you something to do with your yellow cards. And changing research station with the Bene Gesserit one completely changes the game as well, because that was like the go-to end game, late game drop every time. They really have improved the game significantly, I think, with Dune Imperium, and it's probably complete now because they're moving on to this Uprising one or whatever it's called. So everything that I have for base Dune Imperium is probably complete. Yes, it could have done with the sandworms, which were added in Uprising, but that is what it is. I think I'm done. I don't want to bother with Uprising. I'm going to look at from the outside, but I don't really need it. I don't want it. I'm not that bothered. I'm just going to stick with what I've got, Core Dune Imperium with the other two expansions, and just play that and enjoy that because it is really good. Slight deck building, mostly worker placement, bit asymmetric, not really though. Some of the powers are not that great. A lot of the heroes that you've got in there are rubbish, in all honesty. They tend to want to try and do one thing, but mostly that one thing isn't very good. I still think Leto, the Baron especially, the Sodden Baron's overpowered. And, what's he called? Batista. Batista's character, he's great against the bots. So you still have that aspect where you tend to want to not play those, unless you definitely just want to win that day. You're feeling like you want to dominate the bots. But this is a really good game, and it's one of those that shows, over time and with a couple of expansions, you can actually change your mind on things. Because base Dune Imperium, I remember really dismissing it. Like, I played it, I really enjoyed my first game of it, and then I started second game, was like, okay, how do you beat the bot? Well, if you do this, this, and this, then that tends to destroy their strategy. And then it was like, yeah, well, if I start and then do this, 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 I can win within turn 8. And so it's like, you kind of got one of those mindsets with base Dune Imperium, I felt, where I could guarantee a victory every time, no matter what the cards drew for the bot. I felt like I always could guarantee that victory myself, and it near enough worked. I think it worked like 9 out of 10 times that I played my strategy. So yeah, with the Ix and with the Bene Gesserit though, it doesn't. You really do play the game differently, and that for me is great. I love having that aspect of, I cannot just go, oh, I want to do this, this, and this to win. I love that aspect of, I have to actually think on my feet for every single turn of the game if I want to win. That makes it a great game for me, and that is why it's number 4 in my games of all time. Number 3 is my highest game of last year. It is Witch of the Old World. And if you see my review of it, you'll know why. I love this game. Even at its base solo level. So the solo mode that's in the box, I just enjoy. One Witcher on the board, and you've got to kill 3 monsters and then get to level 4 and rest, right? Love it. Absolutely love it. This is basically, The Witcher Old World is basically what I wanted from Mage Knight. People who've been in this channel a while know I blooming detest Mage Knight. It was boring, overcumbering, just outstayed its welcome every single time. You know, the fact that it took over 3 hours to play. I really disliked the card mechanics in it as well, trying to work out the puzzle of it to go here and here and here, and then to try and recruit people and do stuff. I just found it tedious and boring. It didn't work for me at all. Witcher Old World is you got a hand of cards that you deck build over time. You basically are finished within 10 turns, mostly 10 turns. Sometimes I think I won a game with 8 the once. That's my lowest, because everything I felt come into place. How people beat this in 6, I don't know. I think 8 was my highest. Mostly though, when I played it, it's 10. 10 turns, sometimes 11. I love it. You got a deck of cards, move your hero with your deck of cards to one place wherever you want to go. You can go multiple places depending on the cards that you have. So you're constantly recycling through your deck. Then you build your deck up at the end of every turn. So mostly you'll add around about 8 to 9 cards to your deck. So you need to make sure you add the right cards. And then you obviously recycle the crap ones out, because as you grow up as a witcher and you recycle stuff at the end. And that to me is the perfect deck building adventure game that I wanted from Mage Knight and didn't get. And so this is my Mage Knight killer. You know, people laugh at me and say they hate me when I say I didn't like Mage Knight, because apparently it's as a solo player you're supposed to absolutely love that game. Didn't work for me at all. This one does. This is everything I wanted from that game. And a lot of people find this weak and lacking. Well, I couldn't care less. This to me is great. I love Witcher Old World. And the fact that you've got that solo mode with the extra hero where you're going against and he's doing stuff, it's fun. It's a little bit of an extra challenge. And yeah, I love it. I think it's great. This is my adventure game of choice. Number 2, greatest games, Mythic Battles. And I shouldn't say Pantheon. Well, I should say Pantheon because I've not played Ragnarok yet. But I love Mythic Battles. This is a skirmish game to end all skirmish games. And I am at that point now where I probably don't need 2 of them, because I've got Pantheon, which is just the core and the Pandora's box. I probably need to get rid of one, because I'm either going to keep Pantheon or I should keep Ragnarok. And looking at the Ragnarok one, I think they've tweaked a few of the rules, and I think they've made some of the heroes a little bit more balanced, and the system's a little bit more balanced, and it adds a little bit more. And I've basically got everything Mythic Battles Ragnarok, so it's probably better for me to keep that one and try and bog Pantheon off. I should easily be able to get my money back for Pantheon. And yeah, it's a great skirmish game system. I'm a war gamer at heart. What can I say? And whenever you got a war game that you basically have everything for, all the miniatures, the board, cards, everything you need to play in one box, that to me is absolutely perfect. Love the dice mechanic where you roll and have to roll again to meet a certain number. It adds a different level of depth to the I roll to hit and then roll to wound. I find that it's just that little bit different. So you would need like a 7, so you have to roll a 5, and then the other dice that you've got, like 1s and 2s and stuff, which would usually be fails, you can alter your dice to change that up. it is brilliant. And the card system as well, not just I move everything and then you go and move everything. I have to play a card specifically for that unit, and then I can move that unit. And so I have this deck of cards where so many units will either have 4 cards or 5 cards. So I need to be adamant about what I'm doing every single turn and what I'm moving here and there. Because if I expend too many cards or I'm too slow on the board for moving, then I might have a limited amount of cards in that deck where they might never activate until late on. It's brill. It's fun. It's great. It adds so much depth and tactical nuance that this, for me, is the ultimate skirmish game. And it has pushed my other skirmish game of choice, which was Super Fantasy Brawl, completely out of my top 10 list. It's not in my top 10. Super Fantasy Brawl is not here no more. And I still think that's a fun game, but it's not Mythic Battles Pantheon. Nowhere near. Mythic Battles is just the ultimate system. And that's going to be bloody hard to beat for me personally. I love it. Absolutely love it. Can't get enough of it. I should play it more, in fact. It's just really hard to table sometimes because it's a heavy, cumbersome game that you have to. It takes a while to set up and everything. That's the only thing that disappoints me about it, and that's why it's not number 1. But it is my skirmish game of choice right now. It is just brill, and I need to play Ragnarok. But number 1 on my list is a game that I knew I'd love. I knew as soon as I saw it that I would absolutely love this game. And it has shot up to my number 1 board game of all time, even though I only had it last summer. The solo using the Motoma system. I have the Motoma 2 cards and I have the Motoma 3 cards where you go against 2 bots. Yeah, it's Brass Brum. I know I'm from the Black Country myself. I'm a chap from Dudley, and Dudley's on the map. And the number 2 canal and the number 1 canal, I'm on the soddy map and all. I live right by the number 2 canal. It's just there. It's right there. I'm living in Derby End. It's right there next to me. If I took you out to the window out the kitchen, well, you'd probably have to go upstairs. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to see because the houses there. But if I went for a walk out the street, you'd see the number 2 canal. Yeah, it's such a great system. I cannot talk about how much Brass Brum is an absolutely amazing system. A limited hand of cards, a limited deck, and limited actions. People say this is complex. It's hard to learn. It's not hard to learn. You place a card which places either a building or a canal link or rail link, and then you have to use beer and put alcohol on the board and to sell stuff. There's nothing complex about learning Brass Brum. The only complexity is what do you place and what do you specialize in? Because you have this big board where you've got all this stuff, right? You want to be using every single brewery. You want to expand every single brewery. You want to use that. You want to expand every single coal and steel as much as you possibly can. Steel more so. And then you want to either specialize in small goods, cotton, or pottery. And pottery is a pain in the backside because the potteries tend to be up north, more so than anywhere else. So there's the complexity. Which specialization do you go for? And then you have to hope that other people don't steal the resources that you're trying to build up. But that's the complexity of the game. The actual playing of the game itself is just so simple, and it's a fast playing system as well. I can get a game done in an hour, and that to me is amazing. It's part of my history, being from the Black Country, the coal mines literally down the road. What do you call it? The Titanic was anchor was literally made at the steel works just here, the ironworks rather, just down the road as well. Yeah, in Netherton, just here. So much history. It's a theme I love. I always feel like you're giving your ancestors jobs, because my granddad used to work down Dalton's clay pit. My other granddad used to work just here on in Bumblehole at the little air filtration system and the water systems down there, and on the railway that used to run to there. That's where my granddad used to work. Yeah, we used to have the steel down Merry Hill, what was as well. Everything about this game, the history and the fact that you can learn stuff, the fact that it's my area, and the fact that it's such a great, simple game to learn and hard to master. Oh, it's brilliant. And the Motoma system is such fun as well. Played against the two Motomas who move stuff around and build their own little empires is fun. They will steal resources, they'll sell from under you, they will outfox you, and they can be a little easy to beat if you don't play on the hardest difficulty, which removes some of their inner workings. But when you play on that hard difficulty, oh, you better believe that they are tough and they are going to give you a challenge. And I've only beat them like once. Yeah, I think it's only once I've beat them on the hardest difficulty. Medium, I tend to thrash them now. On hard, they are sodding difficult. And it's literally just a card flip where it's like, oh, we'll do this and then we'll do this if you can't do this one. They always seem to take the resources in the places you want to go. Always love that in a little card AI system. I ought to pick up the Steam version. I really ought to do that. Not to play against other people, just to play against bots. I ought to do that because you could play against 4 bots then. You can't play 4 bots on the Matoma cards. I just love the game. Everything about this game, the way it plays, the dry Euro, as I think it's called, it is just great. And it probably is my only Euro of choice. I don't own any of the Euro games, I don't believe. I don't think Dune Imperium's classed as one. For me, it is everything I want in a board game to just put on the table and play and enjoy playing. And I see now why people rate this as the #1 board game of all time. Because against other players, I bet it's even fun. More fun, in fact. Screwing each other over and really trying to outfox each other. Yeah. Especially if you could get 3 really good other players who are top of their game and you have to really try and outfox them. Love it. I absolutely love it. I'll only ever play solo, but that is what it is. That's why, though, Brass Brum is my #1 game of all time. Simple as. It is just the pitch perfect board game for me to plop down on the table after a Sunday, after having some dinner, and just enjoy playing. That to me is what board gaming is all about. Thanks for watching.